From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show, hoops rising after a top 25 road win, baseball shaky after bats go ice cold, and a top shelf story from Corey as we force the football. Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram. Get involved in our weekly mailbag show. You can win an ultimate tailgate for 20 folks this upcoming season. You pick the game that Florida State plays at home. We'll do the rest. And by we, I mean Cummins. They're going to hook it up for you folks. You know what it's all about. Generating discussion, the mailbag show. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram and then post those questions you got on your minds, everybody, over on the Tribal Council of Warchant.com. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Rate, review, subscribe, thumbs ups, all those things. Tell a friend about it. And go read Corey Clark's writing. Corey Clark had a busy weekend for us out there grinding, man, grinding through the tape. Hoops, baseball, everything under the sun, man. How are you, big dog?
I'm good, buddy. I survived it. It was not challenging at all. I know everybody listening to this has real jobs, and they don't have to watch sports and then talk or write about it. So I consider I know I'm lucky. But yeah, Saturday was a little more fun. And then Sunday was pretty gross to watch that baseball game. But Saturday started awesome. That was a really cool win for the basketball program.
All right, we will start with basketball. Then I was going to start with baseball, of course, just for the mere fact that it was more fresh and like raw.
Yeah.
I feel like, but yeah, man, the feel good story right now for Florida State athletics is this basketball team, man. They are legitimately good, right?
Yeah.
70-65 winners on the road at Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. I think Clemson, were they still ranked? Were they 24th still when that?
Yeah, they were 24th. Yeah,
when tip happened, they will probably not be ranked when the next polls come out. Florida State closed the game in the last 2.5 minutes on a 7-0 run. Clemson held scoreless, obviously, in that same span there, Corey. Florida State shot 50% from the field, 42% from three. You watched the game, though, Corey. What did you see? What makes you feel really hopeful about, I don't know, Corey, maybe the short-term future of the team? I know they still have a tough path if they want to try to sneak into the tournament, but maybe we'll talk about that later. Let's just focus on the Clemson game. What did you take away from that? What did you see? What did you like?
Yeah, so I tweeted about it afterwards. When they won that game, especially because Clemson had a couple of unbelievable little stretches that didn't seem very Clemson-esque to even be in the game, and then to have a little lead late. And Florida State, mainly Robert McCray on offense anyway, kept responding. And it's you watch what this team has looked like the last 4 weeks. They're 7-2. They're 6-1 in their last 7. They're 7-2 in their last 9. I want to remind you, everyone, the 2 losses were both games they led by 9 points with 8 or 7 minutes to go, both at home. Both kind of, the Wake Forest especially was just a collapse. Virginia was good. But still, both of those games were eminently winnable. Probably should have won those games, considering what the lead was with 5 or 6 minutes to go. So they're that close to having a 9-game winning streak. And what angered me about it is I watched that thing on Saturday and then realized how good they've been here lately. They've been one of the better teams in the conference. I think I don't know what they're in the conference now, 8th, 7th, after starting 0-5 or whatever they started. It's crazy. But this is a tournament team. This is a top 25 caliber basketball team. The way they're playing right now against real competition, this is a really good basketball team. It's not a national championship team, but it's good enough to be a 7 seed. But, man, they screwed themselves with those. They have had 2 5-game losing streaks this year, which is insane. But they just screwed themselves with a couple of long hiccups earlier in the season. But, man, they've been fun to watch here the last month. And, again, as I've said repeatedly, and I'll continue to say, it really does embolden my belief in the new head coach. He will get, I think, better players. I love Alex Steen. I love what he does for this team. I love how hard he plays, and most importantly, I love how much he cares. Because that dude straight up cares. But he is not the caliber of athlete that Florida State is going to have in the future if they keep playing like this, and if Laux can really build this thing. But he's a great starting block. And I was thinking about this comparison, and it's not really apt at all, but I'm going to make it anyway. You remember, you don't, you're too young probably, but Rick Pitino's first year or second year at Kentucky, they were on probation because, of course, it was Kentucky in the 80s, baby. They lived on probation. But he took over a program that wasn't allowed to be on TV, that had all these scholarship restrictions. And it was a group of like young guys that came up, all these freshmen, I think they were freshmen, that came up and played through the system. And it was their senior year. I'm pretty sure it was their senior year. That was the team that lost to Leitner on the final shot. They were that close to going to the Final Four. And they were abysmal their first year there. And I think Kentucky fans, there might be some Kentucky basketball fans listening to this, they gave them some nickname that lives forever. I think they might have even hung up their name in the rafters. It's like the Incredibles or the Unbelievable. I can't remember what they're called, but that group of guys, that team, is forever remembered by Kentucky fans, not because they lost in the Elite Eight on the most famous college basketball shot of all time, but because of what they did for the program eventually, how they helped build it to where Kentucky did win 3 championships in 4 years, kind of on the back of that group. And I'm not saying this team will be that, but there is a chance in 5 years if Luke Laux has a perennial like Sweet 16 type program, we look back on these last 6 weeks and are like, that's where it all turned. That's where the fan base started believing. That's where that team started believing. And that's where recruits and potential prospects in the portal started believing.
They were called the Unforgettables.
There it is. I knew it had a bull in it, which I didn't think was great because they're not the Bulls. They're the Wildcats. I thought they would do something different. The Unforgettables. There you go.
And then the team that delivered him that national championship, they were called the Untouchables.
Oh, well, okay.
Big nickname guy, Rick Pitino.
Yeah. Kentucky. Kentucky loves their nicknames.
Yeah. So Florida State 71st right now in Ken Palm, for whatever that's worth, everybody. Ultimately this is all about, your quad 1 wins and all these sort of things, Corey. But like, do you think Luke second guesses it all?
Yes.
The way he scheduled this thing out really ambitiously, taking on A&M in the Battle in the Bay and in Houston and Dayton on the road. Although, I don't know how much that really, if they win one of those, the whole narrative kind of changes. So it kind of cuts both ways, I feel like. But if they run through this conference, that's obviously a good thing. I just feel like when we come down to the end of the season and Selection Sunday, I feel like there's always that 1 or 2 teams that limps to the finish line, that has lost like 5 of its last 8, that gets bounced. And there's like a team that's kind of been on fire. And they sneak in despite maybe not having the best resume, but it's like, man, they've won, 11 of their last 13. Is there any path like that for Florida State, or is it they got to win the tournament? Conference tournament, that is.
I don't know how many games are left. I think there's probably, we're February 23rd. So, March is right around the corner. So there's probably only 4 or 5 games left. You just
4.
You can't get it. Even if they win all 4, they're 18-13. You win a couple of games in the tournament, you're 20-14. I just think 14 losses, some of them by enormous margins, which they do factor in. I don't think there's much of a. I just don't think so.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, because it's gotten to the point now that if they did win that Virginia game and that Wake game and that Florida game, by God, they were really close in that one, they would probably be on the right side of the bubble. But they didn't, and 14 losses. They're not going to go win out. So they have 13 losses right now. 14 is just too much. It's a good story, but they would have to win out in the regular season and then at least get to the championship game with like a win over Duke or something to have even a claim. Because some of those losses were really bad, man. It's not like they lost to bad teams, but they got smoked. And the point differential does count a little bit. But when you ask me about Luke Laux' regret, I didn't know you were asking me about the schedule. I don't know that he regrets the schedule. Maybe you didn't have to do all of it. Maybe Houston was a bit too much. Although I thought they acquitted themselves well in Houston. They played that team, which is a very good team, pretty darn well. I think he regrets, now that he sees what this looks like when it's operating at as much peak efficiency as it can, he probably regrets a lot of personnel decisions he made early and also regrets the style of play he tried to employ for too long, which was just chucking up threes, a lot of it. Wanted to lead the nation in three-point shooting, even though they weren't a good shooting. Like he kind of
How do you do that, though, Corey? That's crazy to pivot so hard. Like on a dime, they'd be like, all right, man, we're not that they're going to give up on shooting threes, but like to develop like this defensive identity, we need to be tough. Like that sounds cool on paper, but to get guys to buy in, maybe when they only got 1 year, they only got 16 games, 14 games left, whatever kind of point they made that line in the sand moment. Maybe that makes it a little bit easier, but like, that's incredible to make a team flip their entire kind of energy, their philosophy, their belief like that in the middle of a season for a first-year coach.
Yeah, it's really remarkable and really really encouraging. I would say when it comes to Luke, though, it wasn't just the NC State game. What that was obviously the one I think where he did the most self-reflection and just was like, this isn't working. And I think that kind of plan can work, but you still got to be built on the right things. And too often, all those blowouts, if his team wasn't making shots early, that's a wrap. They cared too much about how well they shot the ball. And I think that was ingrained in them since October, probably since April. That, hey, man, you're going to shoot, we're going to make a ton of threes, we're going to take a lot of threes, we're going to just overwhelm teams with our shooting ability. And when they weren't shooting well, because they're not a good shooting team, they thought, oh, man, we're in trouble. And they didn't realize that they could win in other ways. LeJay Jones didn't quite realize he can go have a huge impact and hit 1 3 or no threes. McCray didn't realize he doesn't have to lead the country in assists and kick it out to guys that don't shoot all that well. Go attack the basket and score, man, if you can. Go get this team some buckets. They need it. So I think that was the miscalculation that he had early, but it wasn't just the NC State game, which was the utter embarrassment of the season. It was a hard reset after that, and they've been a completely different team. They've literally been probably the second or third best team in the conference since that debacle. But the game before that we don't ever really talk about was the Duke game, where they shot the ball as well as they've shot it all season. Like, shot it out of their minds, if I remember correctly. I think they were almost 50% from three. They might have made 15 or 16 of them. They shot really well. They were right in the game in the final minutes, a one-possession game. But I feel like they gave up 90-something points and lost. And it's like, okay, if we're not even going to win when we shoot it at an NBA level, then what is this style? How are we going to win playing like this? Now, you could say, well, that was Duke. They have one of the best players in the country, and they're probably going to be ranked number 1 this week. They just beat Michigan. That's one of the best teams in the country and a legitimate national championship contender. But you're supposed to win a game when you shoot that well from three. And they didn't because of the defense, because of the lack of rebounding at times. And they just – that on top of just the utter embarrassment of NC State the following game, I think it was the very next game, that's when they just did a hard reset and they started playing much harder. And just it's been very cool to watch. It's been very cool to watch, and they got a game Tuesday night at 9:00. Aslan, little late night ball at the Tuck against Miami, which will be should be another very good game, very entertaining game. And I hope people show up for this team. You only got, I think there's only a couple home games left. This is obviously the biggest marquee of the rest of the home schedule. And I feel like the way they played the last 5 weeks, that deserves people coming out and showing the team support. That's fine, but also this coaching staff support because they're here longer. And you got a guy running the show that bleeds garnet and gold. And if he gets this thing rolling, we'll want to be here for a long time. I think it could do some really cool things here. And it'd be nice to show them some support with the way they played the last 4 weeks.
That'll be on ACC Network, everybody.
There you go. 9:00, was I right?
You are. Absolutely. And then they got at Georgia Tech, at Pitt, and they'll finish the season March 7th, home against SMU.
I mean, Georgia Tech and Pitt, it's always hard to win on the road. You don't ever chalk up a road win, ever. Yeah. But Georgia Tech and Pitt, I think, are the two worst teams in the league. So, I mean, if you beat Miami and then you beat those two teams, which you should beat, but again, on the road. Two of the three worst. Boston College and Georgia Tech are at the bottom. And you saw they barely beat Boston College. So you can't take anything for granted with this team. But if you go 3-4, it's not impossible to win out. But if you go 3-4 or 3-1 during this 4-game stretch, you got 2 home games and 2 road games against two of the worst teams in the conference. Well, then where do you sit? 17 and 15, 14? That's pretty good. Pretty good. Considering where they were.
Yeah. By the way, they are 10th right now. They were tied for 10th with Cal, which I don't know how that works since they beat. I mean, they would have the tiebreaker, I would assume, since they beat them head to head. SMU and Miami are both ahead of them as well. Miami's 3rd right now in the conference. SMU would be 8th.
Yeah, so maybe they can switch places with SMU by the end. But, it was funny. The only goal they had 4 weeks ago was to get to the ACC tournament. Because there's 18 teams in the ACC, for the people that don't know, and only 15 get to go to the tournament. The bottom 3 teams do not get to go. It looks like Georgia Tech and Boston College will be 2 of those 3. Maybe Pitt will be the other one. So Florida State, I think, has already clinched that. So they've already accomplished that. That was not the goal at the beginning of the season. But after you lose by 50 points to NC State and you start out 0-5 or whatever they did in the conference, your goals change. And they've reached that goal, and now they've played so well that you have a couple of podcast hosts wondering, can they get to the real tournament, the big one?
Let me see here. What do they need to be to get they're not going to get a double bye, clearly.
No.
I don't know if they can even get a I don't know if they can get one.
If they won out, they'd get a bye.
Yeah.
But that's a lot to ask. Again, I don't want to get too over my skis.
I know.
They did look horrible against Boston College for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And then they played really well those 10 minutes, and I thought for the most part against Clemson, they played awesome. I hope Robert McRae wins ACC Player of the Week. That would be a cool honor for him. He had 27 against Boston College in a win, and then had a season-high 29, including the 15 of the last 18. Like, Clemson couldn't guard him. And Clemson cared a lot about that game. A lot, just like Virginia Tech did. Clemson cared a lot about that game, and Robert McRae just went and won it for him, which was really cool to see. Really cool.
Yeah. That game was readily available on broadcast television. If you wanted to watch baseball this weekend, you had to jump through some hoops. But if you were really smart, you knew that if you went to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, they were going to deliver for you. They would not only have delicious food, ice cold, affordable, reasonably priced drinks, and all sorts of diversions, dartboards, pool tables, jukebox, but you knew they were going to have, by hook or crook, as Corey likes to say, our guy Bill at Corner Pocket was going to get Florida State baseball on the TV screen for you. He did so, Corey. That's our dude, man.
He made me buy a monthly membership to Flow Sports because he bought a yearly one just to show the games this weekend. And then he thought that he could give me his pass, his login. Don't tell the people at Flow Sports this.
Right.
His login. And so Saturday afternoon at whatever the Auburn game started, 4:02, I get a text from him, you got to log off. Because he shows me a screenshot at his bar that says someone else is logged into your – this is an unavailable. So I turned the TV off in the bar to watch it from my house. So then I logged off and I went and got my own monthly membership. And by the time I tuned in, Aslan – we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But when I tuned in and I finally got it up at my house, Florida State was beating Auburn 4-0 in the middle of the first inning.
Yeah. Probably started booking your flight for Omaha I did.
Yeah. But also, real quick, while we're talking about Corner Pocket, because they do care, I didn't know this was happening at the time, but Bill was open for business on Sunday morning for the gold medal hockey match.
Nice.
Game, yeah.
Hell
he
yeah.
opened it up, had a server there. There were mimosas. There were Bloody Marys. There were breakfast burritos, which aren't normally on the menu.
Poutine? Was there poutine?
There was not poutine.
Oh.
But, yeah, I know, right? Wasted opportunity there. But, yeah, I even got there at I got there when probably 5 minutes ago in the first period. Stephanie was there for the puck drop
on a Sunday. Yep. My dog.
I felt I owed it to Bill. He kept guilting me. So I showed up, and there were probably 25 or 30 of us there for the finale, and there were a lot of people downstairs at 7th Hill, which is the other part of Corner Pocket right below, and you can watch Premier League soccer there too in the morning. So there used to be an up Sunday morning, but yeah, everybody dancing and partying and celebrating a great gold medal game. That's the kind of person Bill Hayes is, and that's the kind of bar Corner Pocket is, kind of sports bar, I should say. They'll open up for something big, even if it is 8 in the morning.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Time for a one-year check-in with life as a Ridge Wallet owner. So it's been strong to quite strong. I made it through a swampy summer. Didn't matter. Front pocket, not a problem. Blizzard winter, Thing was still mint condition. Got the Monaco white aluminum with the cash strap, metal body, rock solid. The elastic cash strap has retained its shape and the spring it's got to it. And somehow Ridge is upgraded with a catalog featuring over 50 colors and designs, plus a 10% lighter wallet that maintains its RFID blocking technology that keeps your credit card secure from what we call unscrupulous actors. Try it and save $10 when you use promo code WAKEUP. No matter what you pick, Ridge has got free shipping, 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all their products. Go to ridge.com/wakeup or use WakeUp at checkout at ridge.com to save $10 off your order. We're back. Wake Up Warchant, presented by CumminsLifestyle. Follow on Instagram. Get involved. Win the ultimate tailgate. Subscribe to warchant.com for more. All right, so to baseball we go, Corey. Things started off really nice for the Noles down in Texas, in the heart of Texas, some might say, in Arlington. Taking on Michigan, 6-1 win on Friday. Wes Mendez looked every part of a frontline starter for you. You had some timely at-bats. You had some power, extra base pop from Gabe Frazier. Yeah. That was really good to see. Jace Estes driving in guys at the bottom of the lineup. It looked really good, man. Felt like a really great start. And then they had number 9 Auburn on the horizon on Saturday. As you mentioned, they jumped out to a 4-0 lead after one. And then Auburn proceeded to kind of chip away at it. Then the dam kind of broke. 2 starts in a row now for Bryson Moore, the Virginia transfer, not really giving you a quality start. Got touch-up for 5 hits, 3 runs. 2 of them were earned over 4 1/3. And then things got even worse on Sunday. The offense really stalling out at that point in a 10-1 loss to Nebraska. It's baseball. It's a long season, et cetera, but you don't want to look like this, clearly, have such struggles with the strikeouts especially. What was the headline kind of takeaway from the 3 games in Arlington for Link and the boys?
To me, honestly, it was the offense. As I said, I tuned in just as I think Jace Estes struck out to end that 4-run first, and I didn't see a second of it. But I did watch the next 17 innings on my couch, and I saw them get 3 hits total in 17 innings. So I know I'm the bad luck charm. I hear myself saying it. If I wouldn't have watched, they might have won both. They might have run-ruled both games. But as soon as I tune in, the hitting completely stops, and they actually get kind of overmatched. I think the Auburn kid is a really good pitcher. The kid they faced, they got to him early, but he settled down. And I think he's a draftable kid, and that slider's really good. But man, they just were overmatched as an offense. There was a little bit of unluckiness with some hard balls right at someone, but not a lot. And then you can't blame the Auburn's kid for Sunday, where you had 2 hits total. You had a Miles Bailey homer, good for him, left center field, in a major league ballpark. That was cool. Hit it like 400 feet to left center. And then you had Kelvin Paulino with a pinch hit single in the 9th inning when they're down 10-1. They went. I did the math. So they went 4 for after the first inning against Auburn. They were 4 for 57 as a team. With 25 strikeouts. That's unbelievable. That's the worst. I said it in my story. That could be the worst 17-inning stretch since Link Jarrett's been here. Oh, and he lost 19 out of 21 games at one point his first year. But those 17 innings were horrendous. And it is a little bit alarming. I know it's early, but it is alarming that it would appear right now. I think Dowd can hit. Dowd hit into some terrible luck the last 2 games. He barreled up a lot of balls right at people, and there was some of that. But I come away from this weekend, which is why you play these things. Like, you don't learn a lot when you beat Rhode Island 10-2 or James Madison 13-3. You don't learn a ton. You don't know if some guys that you're counting on can handle the moment or can handle this type of pitching. I think these things, these tournaments, these early season tournaments give you a better gauge of that. And so I would not be surprised if there is a move in center field. I would not be surprised if they figure something else out for second or third base. Carter McCauley the whole team went hitless on Sunday, so it wasn't just him, but he was playing because Jace Estes got hurt, colliding with Brody DeLamelier on what almost was an inside the park home run, which they then gave up the following day. They could have get up 2 inside the park home runs in a row. Both those guys had to go to the hospital. It sounded like DeLamielleure was concussion protocol. Estes was something with his leg, so obviously nothing life-threatening, but still not great that you lost 2 starters on one play. And then, but McCulley had started some, and Jace Estes, God love him, he's 145 pounds. Like he's not the kind of guy that Link's been running out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not 6'3", 210 or 6'3", 190 like Link likes him. And I just think when you look at this lineup right now, as we go into another week where they play, I think they play North Florida on Wednesday and then Citadel.
Yep.
So they should have another productive week. But, man, I'll be honest with you. We all trust Link. Eli Putnam needs to be a part of the lineup. You don't have enough power bats. Cal Fisher's a good college hitter. He had a rough weekend, but he's at least the last rough couple games. He's a good college hitter. I don't know that he's the protection you need for Miles Bailey. And I don't know that he's the kind of bat that can change games. And maybe Putnam hit 0 in the preseason, and they just couldn't run him out there as bad as he was in practice, if he was bad in practice. But you can't have a guy that slugged .660 last year on a Division I team and hit 19 homers, have 2 at-bats so far in 6 games. He got a pinch hit appearance when they were down 10-1 on Sunday, and he walked. He worked a walk. Good for him. But, I just think all you know right now after 6 games is Miles Bailey is good. He can hit the ball hard. Braden Down can play. Gabe Frazier's probably a regular in the lineup. Those 3. Cal Fisher is another one. Those 4. After that, man, I don't know.
I like Noah Sheffield.
I do too. It's not a concern, but why I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on Noah Sheffield is I think he was hitting 500 going into Sunday. Now it's a small sample size. It's like 14 at bats or something. He might have 6 or 7 hits, but you can check me on this, Aslan. I don't know that he has an extra base hit. A lot of singles, and how much of that is. I know hitting isn't luck. Like getting a bat on the ball is not luck. But I watched a lot of baseball this weekend. There is a lot of luck between a seeing eye ground ball single or an infield single and a rocket shot hit right to the first baseman. That's an out. Like he's not the ball to
Corey's got 2 extra base hits.
What's he? Couple doubles?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's good. But I haven't seen the ball. Like there's not a lot of impact so far. Very small sample size in his bat. But he's fine. I don't think he's the problem necessarily. But can he not play second? And Putnam can DH.
Right.
Like I just think when you lose, like this might be Link's NC State moment, basketball, like the Luke Laux basketball moment, where when you get that thoroughly embarrassed over the course of 17 innings. Now remember they were up 4-0 on Auburn, then got outscored 8-1 the rest of the way, and the one run they scored was on a strike 3 wild pitch with 2 outs. They should have ended the inning, but it got by the catcher and Chase Williams got on and the run scored from third. So they scored 2 runs over the last 17 innings. They were outscored 18-2 and out-hit 21-4. They went 4 for 57 against legitimate pitching. Well, what's that going to look like in the ACC? I just think it was so bad, those 17 innings. I'm not one to put a lot of stock into a game in February or games in February, but it was so bad that I think it does become alarming. And you wonder, okay, are these guys just not – are they going to be overmatched when we see these other elite arms and these top-flight arms? Do I need to really think about what this lineup looks like and who's in it? So that's all. They still went 1-2. That's fine. It's not great. Michigan's pretty good. They beat them. There's no shame in losing to Auburn, who's a top 10 team, and you were in the game in the last inning. And Nebraska doesn't suck. You just played horribly, but they're not bad. Peyton Manco was not great at all. That was a bummer. But, yeah, so that's I know I've talked a lot about the offense, but that's my biggest concern is the bats right now. I'm not convinced that other than Miles Bailey and Braden Dowd and probably Gabe Frazier, but those 2 in particular, I think they're draftable top 5, Bailey maybe top 1 talent. I don't know about anybody else. And I just think when you don't have a lot of great hitters, you need at least some power in there. So when Putnam does get into one, it can be a 3-run homer instead of a single to load the bases. You just need some impact bats. You need an ability to score a lot of runs on one swing. I don't know how much of that they have right now.
Hunter Carnes and Smalia platoon not doing great either offensively. That's
now again, Carnes. I would say this though. Watching those, I watched a lot of the Michigan game too. He squared up a lot of balls, and I think Link does look into that. Like, man, he's because they have all the exit velos, and I would guess 6 of Hunter Carnes is out this year. Maybe more have been hit over 100 miles an hour. He's hit in some really bad luck. So, but no, the production hasn't been there. But I'm not really worried about his bat. I'm much more worried about him and Smalia. I'm more worried about what they do behind the plate. It's still not great back there, and they had 6 wild pitches this weekend and 1 pass ball. That's not going to get it done.
And I don't think they're going to blossom into the 24 team, but I mean they are so young at so many places. I mean Stutzer, Delamalier, Carnes, Estes, Paulino, like you can put McCulley in that bucket if you want, and then Noah Sheffield. It's like I just threw 6 names at you. They need to get 3 of them to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like the end of the world.
No, it's not. It's 6 games. I think what it again though. I think that it is an abnormal dynamic when you struggle like you do these last 2 games, and you struggled opening night. That you brought in a guy, and look, we'll ask Link the next time we talk to him. You brought in a guy to be like a middle-of-the-order bat that has produced a lot of homers and a lot of extra base hits and a lot of slugging over 3 years at Davidson, and he can't get on the field. Like that to me, I mean, it would be nice. And again, Link's not a dummy. He knows what he's doing, and he was at practice. I wasn't. So there's a reason Eli Putnam isn't playing. But they need him one way or the other. Like they need him either. You don't just put him in the lineup because everybody else is struggling. They need him to get going one way or the other, and they need him to be a big deal because he was brought here to be a big deal. He was brought here to protect Miles Bailey. It gives you a left-right. It gives you a right-handed protection after Bailey, which is a good thing to have, and it gets you some real pop. But, again, they do a lot of inter-squad. And if Putnam – and they track every at-bat. And if he had 38 at-bats in the preseason, was 2 for 38 with 21 strikeouts, those are made-up numbers, by the way. But if he was, you can't blame Link for not playing him. But you might be able to now because Chase Williams is hitting like 100. You haven't gotten any pop from anywhere else in the lineup. I don't even know who has home runs that played on Sunday. So yes, but I'm not, and I think Chase Williams, man, that's going to be an interesting dynamic too because number one, I'm sure nobody watched the game but me that's listening at this point when it was 10-1. But he led off the 8th inning in a 10-1 game. He had a really nice at bat, worked a walk, which would have been his second walk of the game, and it's called third strike on a ball at his ankles. Just a horrible call. Well, he did like 3 jumps up and down and spun back. I don't think he yelled anything at the umpire, but he yelled, but not at the umpire, but jumped up 3 times and couldn't believe it. And it's like, yeah, man, the umpire might be thinking, it's a 10-1 game, dude. What are you going to do? Swing the bat. Mm-hmm. But Chase Williams needs confidence, and he needs positivity. And Chase Williams needs to get on base where he can wreak havoc. And those are big. That would have been – every moment in games like that can still be big, even when you're losing by 9 runs. And he had a good at-bat to work a walk, and he didn't get rewarded for it. But at some point, you might have to say, okay, well, we moved Dowd to center, and we got to put somebody else in left because Chase is an automatic out at this point. And he didn't help things where he did walk on Sunday, stole second, then immediately tried to steal third in a 5-1 game, by the way, I think. And leaves too early trying to steal for third. The pitcher steps off and throws him out at third. Like, you can't, for the third out of the inning. Like, you can't do that. That's just bad baseball. So, again, you know why he's there. That speed is incredible. And if he gets on first, he is automatically on second, and he might just be on third. But he's got to calm it down a little bit, and he's got to quit. He's got to just calm it down. And otherwise, you can't play a kid that hits 100. Again, though, 6 games. We hope and think he'll get it going. Yeah.
Trey Beard was deployed, though. The crown jewel signing of the pitching staff for Florida State, their projected Friday night starter, who apparently had a stomach flu bug issue last week that affected his availability for the first series of the season against James Madison. Maybe there was hope that he would start on Friday, but he ends up coming in relief on Sunday when the game started. It was kind of not out of hand, because Florida State should have the ability to come back from like a 5-run deficit against a team like Nebraska, but with the way the offense was playing, they're not pretended great things. But Beard goes 2 1/3, allowed 2 hits, 3 runs. Got hit up for a double, had a wild pitch as well. Did you see anything good from Trey Beard in the limited action you saw, Corey, or how did you assess the lefty?
Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed, but it was also his first appearance. He had dealt with an illness, and he's pitching in a 5-1 game in a weird stadium. But the first 2 batters he faced, the first guy flies out to center field, probably hit at 395 feet. The next guy, the very next pitch, hits one 410 feet to dead center that Williams catches with his back on the fence. That wasn't great, because especially the second one would have been a home run at Howell. It would have been a home run at any other park probably that they play in. And the first one was hit really well. After that, though, he got a lot of weak contact. He retired the second inning he worked. It was a 1-2-3 and 8 pitches through 1 ball, struck out the first kid, and then got 2 weak ground balls on that changeup. And you're like, yeah, man, this is good. And then he retired the very next guy to start the next inning on a weak ground ball. So he had retired 7 in a row. He had given up 2 hard contact to the first 2 hitters. After that, he seemed to be dealing. I'm like, okay, I see it. I see what's going on. Then, on like a 1-1 pitch or a 1-2 pitch, he just inexplicably hits the batter in the shoulder with a fastball. He lost it. It's fine. It happens. He lost it. Bad pitch, missed his spot, hits the guy, and kind of melted down after that. That was what was discouraging. He immediately wild pitched him to second. Now, again, it'd be nice if it wasn't that wild a pitch. You got to block the ball and keep it in front. It didn't happen. But he wild pitches the kid to second, gives up a lace double over Dowd's head that lands on the track like a line drive shot, then gives up a single up the middle, and then walks the next kid on 4 pitches. All after he hit the kid and was cruising. So I would just like, again, I'm not putting too much stock into it, but you're asking me what I didn't like or what I thought. We know the stuff's there. He's not going to overpower you with a fastball, but the changeup is ridiculous. It's crazy. He got a ton of weird swings on it. But when things went bad and something went wrong, he got a runner on base and had to pitch from the stretch. He didn't get it out after that. Wild pitch, double, single, walk, out of the game. And then Nard walked the first guy he faced and then gave up a sac fly. So that's how he gave up the 3rd run that was credited to Beard. But, that wasn't great, but it was good to see him back. And that's why I wasn't all that worried about Sunday, because I just think that Bryson Moore was better than his line indicated. That, number one, Auburn has, I think, a very good offense. And Bryson Moore kind of slowed them down a good bit, got a couple of double play balls, because he started the first inning. After his team gave him a 4-run lead, he starts the first inning with, like, hit by pitch walk. And it's like, come on, man. Get him out, Link. I'm tired of this. And then he got out of it with no damage. He got a ground ball. He got a pop out and a ground ball double play. And then I think he finally gave up a single run here or there. One was because of his own error, throwing into center field for no reason. Nobody was covering second. That stuff's been happening a little bit too much with some communication issues. But the runs he gave, and then he gave up a home run, which is fine. It was a solo home run. That's going to happen. And then they took him out of the game because he walked the leadoff hitter, and then they took him out of the game in the 5th with 1 out in the 5th. But overall, considering what he looked like the first game, I thought that was a real step up against a much better team. He looked the part. And you're thinking, and you're also projecting, okay, that's your Sunday starter. He's going to probably be better than most Sunday starters he faces. So you got Mendez on Friday, Beard on Saturday, Moore on Sunday. I don't think that's a bad rotation yet. I think Beard can be a real guy. Mendez has looked great, and I think Moore improved a lot against the best offense they've faced so far. So I'm not all that worried about the starting pitching because we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen what it's supposed to look like because of the Beard sickness. But Peyton Manka, just 4 batters into the game, he's pulled. A leadoff walk, start the game. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Those strikes.
Compete. And that's what I liked about Beard. At least he threw strikes. And I think Moore, for the most part, threw strikes. He was much better about that. So and there are some arms there. They didn't all pitch well, but I do think there's enough arms to play with that they'll figure out 7 or 8 guys that they can really count on. I'm not worried about that because I'm not expecting them to have the best pitching staff in the country. I never was. I do expect the offense to be better than what it looked like this weekend, and it needs to be.
I mean, they got a hell of a conference slate this year, but the ACC's been on the rise in baseball. But man, like Wake is ranked.
Yep.
I don't know if NC State is, but I know Duke's got off to a decent start. Virginia's got off to a decent start. Georgia Tech, I think, is top 5.
Georgia Tech is in Georgia, and that batting order is loaded.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's very, very good. I think they're the highest ranked team in the ACC right now.
Yeah, and then they got to go to Clemson in May, and then come back
Miami,
home
right?
and host Miami right after.
Yeah, no,
look,
man, this is one of those deals where the schedule is so tough that 15-15 might get you to. If you go 15-15 in the league, you might be top 12 in the country and hosting a regional. Like this, it is. Plus, you got 3 games with Florida. You're facing a ton of ranked teams, which is good and bad. But that's why Link did what he did with this tournament. Like he knows what's coming.
Yep.
And you don't James Madison's fine, the Citadel's fine, but you can't go into the ACC play having faced Florida as the only real elite pitching that you're going to face going into the ACC. So now he's figuring out what these guys can do and not do. And a lot of them, frankly, looked a little bit overmatched against this caliber of pitching. I also think Nebraska threw some dudes. I think those guys could pitch. Maybe they saved them for this game. I don't know how that worked. I know Auburn's guy could pitch. Auburn used 3 guys that could really pitch, and Auburn's very good. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Eli Putnam, where are you, man? Where are you?
3 at-bats, 2 Ks, and he walked against Nebraska. He pinched hit against Jacksonville when the game was on the balance, and he looked at strike 3, and he didn't seem very happy about it. We'll see. We'll ask Link next time we get him. We'll get him definitely after the game on Wednesday, and we'll get him on Thursday for his weekly press conference too. So we'll get answers. We promise. Meanwhile, across the way over at the Plex, the Dugout Club Classic softball goes 3-2 on the weekend. Pair of wins over Dartmouth and 1 over Elon.
Suck it, Elon. Suck it. What are they, the Flame or the Phoenix? There's something. They have a cool nickname, but I forget what they are.
The Phoenix.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
The Phoenix.
Okay, nice. Got it. Nailed it.
And then a pair of losses to top 10 Alabama. They lost 8-0 on Friday.
Yep.
And then 5-1 on Saturday the next day. So they got time to figure these things out, but they ran into kind of a bit of a buzzsaw with Alabama, it looks like.
It was crazy. I was watching. So we went up to Corner Pocket to watch the semifinal game of USA versus who were they playing in the semifinals?
Slovakia.
They crushed them.
Destroyed. They should get back together with Czechia and become a country and try to compete.
Yeah, then they might have a chance. Am I right?
Yeah.
But and then at the same time, when that was over, the Alabama. Right when that was ending, the Alabama-Florida, and because it's Corner Pocket, baby, they got Florida State softball on the TVs. That game starts, and it was just incredible how much bigger and stronger the Alabama team looked. Like, it was not even close. And I'm not talking about, I know what people might be thinking when I say a softball player is bigger. I'm not talking about that kind of big. From like the 80s, our childhood. I'm talking about young women that bench more than I do. Like they are jacked.
Strong.
They are like 6'2". They look like they're 6'2", 175. Like they are jacked. And they hit, one girl hit a ball. It's the farthest ball I've ever seen hit at that field. It hit the top of the scoreboard in right center. There must be a netting or something above that. I don't know what happens, but the ball goes straight down after it hits the top. I mean, she obliterated it. It was like a Michaela Edenfield type home run. So you had that with their players are just massive, and then also both their pitchers that they used were throwing in the low 70s, which is, I think it's the equivalent of a baseball pitcher throwing like mid 90s, maybe high 90s, like low 70s from that distance. I haven't done the math lately, folks, but I think that's the equivalent of like 95, 96. So they have, meanwhile, Florida State's best pitchers, throw 66. So it was almost like there was a difference in physicality and just sheer strength that I wondered as I was watching, like, I wonder if this is an eye-opener to Lonnie. Like, it's awesome to have an athletic team and a bunch of five, 6 women that can really run, and if they get into one, can hit it over the fence. But wouldn't it be cool to have a few of those too? Mm. And what do you sacrifice with when you have a team full of giants defensively? What do you sacrifice? And so anyway, it was just, and I only say it's 2 games, right? But they also got bludgeoned by Tennessee. So their last 3 games against top 10 SEC teams, they lost. I think the combined score was 22-1.
Not good.
I mean, you're trying to compete for a national championship, man. And Jazzy Franchik, she didn't pitch the first game. She pitched the second game. They only scored 4 or 5, but had a couple more home runs. You hit one in the last inning when it was 5-0 or whatever it was. Sturgis, by the way, she's going to be awesome too. And she's one of the smaller, leaner women that I'm talking about, but she's awesome. And it's worked out well for Lonnie. I'm not questioning her style. I guess it sounds like I am. I just wonder when it looked like such a difference in ability, physical ability, that I in the fact that you went up against Kennedy in the Super Regional. She's throwing low to mid 70s. And you lost. You couldn't score. You go up against the girl from Tennessee, who's the hardest pitcher that's ever lived. You lost, couldn't score. Then you go against these 2 Alabama pitchers. They got a crazy good freshman that you lost and couldn't score. And they're all throwing in the low to mid 70s. Are you going to go get a couple of those? Or are you going to learn how to hit them better? Because they're hard to hit. But why are they always going to the SEC? Like, Florida State might need 1 or 2 of those. I don't know. I was alarmed by how easy Alabama made it look against Florida State. But again, we're in February, and the worst news of this weekend is I think Issa Torres suffered a concussion on a play. She didn't play on Saturday or Sunday. Late in the Friday night game, she collided with a base runner when she was at shortstop on another play that scored an Alabama run, I think. And I think she came out of the game or shortly thereafter and she was down on the field for a while. She got up, but didn't play at all on Saturday or Sunday. And Kennedy Harp, the good news was Kennedy Harp finally played. So that is really good news. So hopefully that they will get their offense back to what it needs to be very quickly. But, yeah, they lost 9-1 to Tennessee. Then they beat Louisiana 8-0, beat Dartmouth 10-2, lost Alabama 8-0, so that's 17-1 to the SEC. Run-ruled Dartmouth again, lost Alabama 5-1, then crushed Elon 9-1. But it's like, yeah, okay, so you can beat up on Dartmouth and Elon in those schools, and the SEC teams, the ones you're going to face in the Supers, are in Oklahoma City. You don't look like you can compete with them yet. But 9 freshmen, they're learning as they go. And you just got one of the best players in the country back in Kennedy Harp. I wanted to see how she did. I know she played, but I don't know if I'm going to check and see if she got any hits.
I mean, they beat the richest man in the world, and you're not even impressed by it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is he still the richest man in the world? It seems like that fluctuates.
Think so.
Let's see. Kennedy Harp, 0 for 1 with 2 walks.
1,
all right.
Yeah, yep, that's what I got too. Yep.
All right, so that's good.
Yeah. Slow start's fine.
Yeah, and they'll look, man. It was just let's hopefully just chalk it up to a bad weekend. They seemed a little bit overmatched in the circle, trying to get those Alabama players out because they hit the bejesus out of the ball, and then obviously when they were in the batter's box, they just couldn't do much. It's not like they struck out 21 times; they just weren't making solid contact because these girls throw really, really hard.
Looked it up. 4 different young ladies hit a home run for Alabama. 3 of the 4 were 5'7" or taller, but they're 5'8". And according to the CDC, the average adult woman is 5 foot 3.5 inches. So,
okay,
one of the young ladies actually
did all that while I was talking for so long about softball.
I got to contribute, Corey.
Man, I'm telling you, no, that just tells me God, I talk way too much. I apologize, Aslan. I know you've been having to deal with this for 8 years now, but I do apologize.
It's fantastic. Hey,
Who can have so many opinions about softball?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I watched it.
You
I watched
did.
it. I feel like I'm going to let people know.
I like it, man. Yeah, I didn't get to catch it, so I'm glad that you're schooling me. Appreciate it. Let's force the football, everybody, right after this.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and Napa Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. Instant gratification society these days, right? But not necessarily a bad thing. We want results. We want good results. We want those good results fast. Brunt Workwear has been committed to crafting quality workwear that looks great, is tailored for life on the job site, and it's ready to go out the box with unmatched comfort. No break-in period needed. Brunt offers a full range of high-performance gear built for the tough jobs, from heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets. Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear that keeps you protected and productive in any condition. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners, so they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at bruntworkwear.com when you use the promo code WAKEUP at checkout. $10 off with promo code WAKEUP at bruntworkwear.com. We're back. It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by CumminsLifestyle. Follow them on Instagram. I might do some homework today, Corey, and that'll be part of our Tuesday show, which might also feature a 35-minute interview with former Florida State linebacker Kendall Smith. Possibly. We'll see when we're going to deploy that one. But I figured we need to get more football in the mix.
I have a funny story about Kendall Smith.
Could have used you. Could have used you, Corey. Could have used your help.
It's my fault. I don't know if you'd remember it. But this happened back when he was playing here. This would have been 2010. North Carolina came to Doak. It was 2010 or 2011, but I think it was 2010.
He was gone. 10 was his last season.
Okay, so North Carolina had a running back named Johnny White, who I think wore number 44. And he had dreads, big dude, physical. And I'm talking to Kendall Smith on Wednesday before the game. And I'm asking him about the North Carolina offense. For the story I'm writing for the Democrat, and I'm like, yeah, and that running back, the white kid, he's really tough to tackle. And he's like, what? Who are you talking about? I'm like, number 44. And he goes, he's white?
34.
It's 34.
Yeah.
He goes, 34 is white? Because he has dreads coming out of his helmet, down to his back, down to his shoulders. And I'm like, no, he's not white. His last name is White. I'm sorry. But I did it again. Speaking of Luke Laux, it was at a press. I don't know why it was only with guys with the last name White. Yeah. But Akara White had a big game against Miami, or a couple of big moments as a freshman. And I was asking Frank Haight, I think was his name, the Miami head basketball coach at the time, about his performance. But Luke Laux had also had a nice game. And so I asked him, hey, man, can you talk about the white kid and kind of what he did for them late in the game? And Ira even chuckled, and he was confused. He's like, who are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm sorry, Akara White. Because he was going to start talking about Luke Laux or David Stulkes or DeMercy. I don't know. I've never said, can you talk about the Winston kid?
Yeah.
Or the O'Leary kid? Or the McCray kid? Yeah. But the two times I've ever said, can you talk about so-and-so kid, the last name was White. Anyway, sorry, Kendall Smith.
Have you ever done it with black, though, Corey?
No, weirdly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that would have been cool. I'm sure that would have given us some funny stuff to talk about with Kendall. But yeah, 35 minutes. We'll see if we run that some point this week or maybe another week. We're going to try to get more interviews as part of the programming here during this lull, if you will, because who knows what's going to happen with spring football and such. But Dominic and Tom, and we talked about this a few shows ago, the All-22 that Dominic does with our Tom Lang, where he's got access, Dominic Robinson, father of Deuce Robinson, 4th and 14 OG, has access to the All-22 film, and he'll kind of walk us through what he sees, and he does a full scouting report on Ashton Daniels. I have not watched it yet, Corey. I will watch it today, and then maybe I'll bring some some thoughts and some opinions here, and I do want to go back and watch the Tommy, because he did one for Tommy too. I want to see what he says about Tommy versus what he says about Ashton Daniels. But judging by the comments on warchant.com, there's a lot of like positivity. People feel really good after watching the video. They think that, Dominic sees a lot of good things from Ashton that he thinks will translate, even though I think a large part of what Tom and Dominic did was recorded before Gus's abrupt retirement. But I would think anything that they said positive would probably apply even more so under, Mike's tutelage. So I'm going to look at that, because I want to see how he talked about Tommy to compare it to how he talks about Ashton, because there was a cynic, Orland Knoll, part of the team, that was just like, would he really say anything too critical about the guy that's responsible for throwing footballs to his son? But I think Dominic calls it down the middle. So I want to see what he said about Tommy compared to how it worked out. But it's funny because I was looking for something. This all is a weird roundabout way, Corey, to give you some shine here. You don't need any more shine. You already know you're the man. But I was searching something on Twitter, and for whatever reason, it popped up some stories in the early part of 2024 when people were still like believing in Mike Norvell. And it's like, man, now to say the things that some people were writing in September of 2024, it's like, man, that was a tough kind of a tough read, a freezing cold take. But this makes me think about
where's my shine coming?
It's coming here now.
Oh, okay, great. Good.
Buckle up.
Okay.
It made me think about after the Georgia Tech game, because I wasn't that bothered after they lost to Georgia Tech. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, it's kind of not great the way the offense looked for part of that game, but they didn't have the ball a lot. We were able to kind of convince ourselves. But dude, in the moment, you are immune from ever really getting the wrath of anybody with a Florida State fan, because Jeff Collin, the way he called the Jeff Bowden era from the get-go, sticking his heels in. That's like, all right, man, he's a made man in Florida State media circles because of the way he was able to deliver that so presciently and accurately. But like you said in that rap in Dublin on the field, Ira's like, what do we make out of this game? And I'll remember it till the day I die, crazily enough. But you're just like, you just totally take them off the turnpike and go completely different direction. Like, this just makes me think about what this coach does when he doesn't have Jordan Travis as his quarterback. And Ira was just like, I mean, I'm not there yet, man, which is totally fair. I mean, I think most reasonable.
It was one game.
It was
one game. Well, but that was just my point. I assume in that rap is I'd also seen the games that Mackenzie Milton played.
Yes.
Chubba Purdy played.
Yes.
Who else?
Tate Rodemaker.
Yeah. They just, and then the DJ game. It's like, okay, there's kind of a similarity here. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, I mean, I feel like you're going to call it down the middle as always, Corey. Like, did you remember feeling anything that day going all the way back to that made you want to blurt that out? Like, at the beginning, it wasn't even like a parting shot on the way out. Like, it was literally within the first 3 minutes of the video, I think.
I would think, looking back on it, it was because it wasn't just that they had the ball 6 times. I wasn't that worried about the production as much as the way it looked, and when they couldn't run the ball with the running backs, there was a reason why, and it was because the quarterback moved like a dying elephant. And how you can't run the ball. It was alarming that they could not run the ball at all. And then you start wondering, well, okay, and it's not like Jordan Travis ran for 1,000 yards in 2023, but that element, that it could be there, and he would use it when needed, was not there. That was not a running threat at all. It was alarming how slow and unathletic, who we know he can run. He'd run for 600, 700 yards one season. We know he can run. It was alarming how slow and unathletic DJ looked. And then I'm like, okay, how well does this offense look? Jordan Travis, sure, but with an unathletic quarterback. What's this thing going to look like with this offensive line and an unathletic quarterback?
They don't look great, right?
No, it was. I don't know if you remember how that season ended, Aslan, but that was not the only loss that game in Dublin.
Yeah, so I want to see what Dominic forecasts for Ashton Daniels, because it's different, right? Because Tommy, we saw Tommy firsthand, right? We saw him firsthand twice up there in BC with an elite defense that he was carving up for the better part of that game. They were sick, though. That was the flu game. Shout out to the 23 Noles pulling that dub out. And then we saw him Labor Day It was Labor Day that Boston was it Labor Day Boston College?
Yeah.
In 24?
Yeah, it was Labor Day. Yeah.
You know, and he kind of picked his spots and made it, you know, found guys wide open like Trayshawn Ward. So like we'd seen him, but then he kind of petered off clearly towards the end of 24 where he gets benched and kind of leaves the program abruptly mid-season. So, you know, maybe trajectory not the greatest. Is there any difference between that to where Ashton Daniels, despite not winning a lot of football games towards the end of that season, he was performing at a statistically, again, I haven't watched the actual film. I should probably add that to my homework as well. But statistically was performing at an above average level to be even like mildly conservative and you know, cynical if you want to be about it.
Yeah, look, man, those last two games, I know Vanderbilt, I guess, didn't have a great defense, but it was a top 15 team. And he put up 44 points and 450 yards. That's as well as that's as many yards as Jordan Travis ever had in any game. And now it was a lot. And I watched every completion of that game that he had, and I watched all his rushing yards. He is not as dynamic and as exciting as Jordan Travis. He's also not as good a thrower of the football. A lot of them were like short passes underneath, 6 yards here, 8 yards there. Broken tackle turns into 30. But he made enough good throws that you're like, okay, that can play. He can play at this level. And he's also a good enough runner and a willing runner that will absolutely play at this level as long as he stays healthy. He is a guy that should be a first down machine running the ball, which is kind of what I thought DJ was going to be when he got here, because he had run, I think the stat was like something like he had run for like 36 first downs the year before. He might have run for 7 at Florida State, if that. When you have a quarterback that can run for, what is that, 3 or 4 first downs a game? Man, that changes everything. And Ashton Daniels can do that. And I did see enough in those two games. You know, there's nothing like an Iron Bowl game, man. Especially when Alabama's playing for a spot in the playoff. And they're playing their rival Auburn, who has not had a good season, that's already fired their coach. And then this kid has them on the brink, and his teammates. It's not like they put up 50, but he had them on the brink of winning that game and upsetting Alabama and keeping them out of the playoffs. And that was at least a decent Alabama team. And his interception he threw against Alabama was right off his teammate's face mask. Perfect throw, head high, right off his face mask. It bounces off the face mask, and the safety intercepts it. I saw enough to know that he can be at least decent here. But, it's just, but as I say that, I'm like, well, wouldn't it be cool if you weren't just going for decent? Wouldn't that be neat?
That would be.
Like, you don't draft a quarterback in the NFL to be like, man, one day he might get you to 9-8. He might be good enough to be a 9-8, 10. That's not your dream. But I think that's just the reality with Ashton Daniels. I think there's some limitations there where he's not going to be a Heisman candidate. He's not going to be an All-ACC candidate. But he could be good enough to make this a winning football team. He is good enough for this to be a winning football team. How many wins is the question. But I think he's absolutely is good enough to be a winning football quarterback his last year in college.
31 first down runs for DJ in 23 in Corvallis. He ran for 15 in the first 5 games, I think it was, which is the amount of games he played for Florida State. In 24, he ran for 8.
Yep.
So,
yeah, he just wasn't there. He got hurt in August. Wasn't himself physically, and they never recovered from it.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the flu game in 23 on the way out, I don't know how many people know about that. You have to be like really online, I feel like. Which brings me to what we were talking about, I think last week, maybe on the generating discussion, the greatest what ifs for Florida State. Like, what if they don't have the wide right? What if the check swing gets called in Omaha? And I think our guy Noel Daddy, which you got to give me your real name, buddy. I got to stop saying Noel Daddy. I'm a grown man. Somebody got Cedric of the Entertainers. Like, I met this man named Delicious. It's like, I'm a grown ass man. I ain't calling you Delicious. That's where I'm at right now with it. But anyways, he was talking about if I ever heard about, like, there was even like a more sinister story to the 96 Sugar Bowl rematch where, Florida State was apparently like poisoned purposely by like a Florida, worker at the hotel or the pizza delivery guy, like a la Michael Jordan or whatever. What percentage of fans that walk into Doak Campbell Stadium that walked into Doak Campbell Stadium against Alabama this past year, Corey, like what percentage of them do you think knew about or heard about that Florida State was under the weather in that game against Florida for the national title game in 96?
Ooh, I would say 20%.
Okay. I was about to say like 30 less probably. I think less than 30. I think 20 is probably like
But
over under 19
Aslan's not wrong. I want to put this into perspective because I'll always remember it. I was there. Florida State, despite getting way behind early, and I don't think we knew they had the flu. At least I don't think I knew they had the flu until after the game.
I never knew until I subscribed to Warchant in 2002.
Like there you go. Nice.
Never heard
there you
of
go.
It. Yeah.
I think I knew after the game. I was reading about it in the papers or in the Osceola or something. But that so something happened where, okay, it was, I'm trying to remember the exact score. What was the final score? 52
to 20?
52 to 24 or something?
So
I should know that. I was there. I usually remember those things. So let's just say it was
52-20. Close
enough.
It was
52-20. Okay, so Florida State had come back and made the score 24-20.
Correct.
And we're getting the ball back because they had just sacked Werfel for the 15th time in the last month. And we're getting the ball back. The momentum had completely turned. The place was going nuts. People were excited. It felt like they were about to take control of the game. He's punting. They're punting from, I don't know, their own 20 or something. The guy gets off an incredible punt that goes over Feaster's head, rolls all the way down to like the 2. It's an incredible punt. So instead of getting the ball with really good field position with a chance to go take the lead, you now got the ball at the 2. Warrick Dunn is the tailback. He gets the carry, gets a couple of yards, and then doesn't get up. And everybody's chanting Warrick, and all that.
69-yard punt. Sorry, Corey. It was a 69-yard punt. That was down
that's
at the 2.
play. It's hard to say a punt is the play of the game when you lose by 32.
3 and out.
But
they had to go 3 and out, Corey.
And you're punting out of your own end zone. They get the ball basically in scoring position. They go score. Go up by 11. I think Bentley misses a field goal in the next possession, and that's ball game. But Warrick Dunn is on the field for 5 minutes. Everybody's chanting his name. He goes on, and this is Warrick flipping Dunn, the last game of his career in the national championship game, and everything he's done, and he's the reason they beat Florida the first game that year, the regular season finale. He's awesome, the best player on the field, and he can't come back into the game. And that's when I knew, okay, that's not right, because he had the flu. And half the team ended up having the flu. And I think Rock Preston had been suspended before the game, and he was very good, but he wasn't there. So Feaster had to be the tailback, and it didn't work out, and they ran away with it. But, yeah, it was.
They ran the ball on 3rd and 10, Corey. I mean, granted, the ball was at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
But, anyways, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's it. I would say I just remember that. I remember that Florida team was incredible anyway. So it was going to be hard to beat them twice. But trying to beat them with the flu, I don't know if half the team had it or 10 guys had it. I know Warrick Dunn had it, and that's not good. And, they didn't. But I don't think the whole team was poisoned.
Right.
They still scored 20 points. They did something. Dad threw for maybe close to 300 yards. They did something.
Man, their best team ever, and they still lost to us.
That's right. Good point, Aslan. Good point.
They've
never had an undefeated season. I don't know if you realize that.
They have not. No.
Yeah.
All because these stupid conference title games.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it's Texas, right?
It's Texas beating Nebraska.
Unbelievable.
And then Arizona State losing to Ohio State set it up for Florida to go win the national championship.
That's what they need to win, everybody. Just remember that. We didn't need that kind of stuff.
In 93, kind of did. But why am I bringing up old stuff?
Yeah. A lot of the other two we did not. We controlled our destiny. Ran the table. Undefeated. That's what you do. All right, we're done. We'll see. We have one more show that's non-mailbag centric. But then we'll do a mailbag. We'll do another winner into the entry for the ultimate tailgate, courtesy of our great friends over at Cummins. Portable, reliable, quiet power. By the way, Corey, did you see the text message I sent you? They're going to reach. You should reach out to them.
Oh,
about the home generator. Yeah.
I can't wait to give people an update on how much my mom loves her new generator.
All right, there we go, everybody. He is Corey. I'm Aslan. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Check it out, warchant.com, around the clock. Lots of recruiting news from our own Matt Lacera, who's down in Orlando at one of the Rivals camps. So go check that out. See how the next batch of potential commits look for Mike and the boys. Thanks for listening. It's been Wake Up Warchant, presented by CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram.